Welcome to On Business Ottawa. My name is Susan Blaine. I'm your host. We're going to be showcasing Ottawa's business intelligence from the heart. We're going to be meeting some really cool entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things, learn about their ups and downs. So let's meet some cool guests and talk business.
Kevin McCartney co-founded his first company at 23, which is impressive on its own. 7 years later, he sold it to a multinational. He stayed on, fueled by a passion for a quickly developing field of information management systems. 17 years later, in 2012, a corporate restructuring pushed him out the door. He'll be the first one to admit it happens to the best of us. And it hurt. Business process management works. They focus on companies, helping them future-proof while finding efficiencies that save money, personnel resources, and frustration levels. I'm really looking forward to my chat with Kevin McCartney on Going Digital.
Now, you call yourself a disruptor.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Why?
You know what? I mean, back to that quote. I mean, if there's a better way to do something, find it.
Yeah. Now, as a disruptor, when you go into the office or you go, what sort of you have an ABC approach. It's not always be closing.
No, it's not. It's got, you know what? It's got nothing to do with always be closing. I say always be connecting. You know, in this day and age.
Always be connecting your information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the technology, and again, we don't have to get bogged down in the technology itself. But I can tell you that with today's technology, everything can be connected. And when you start to connect things and digitize things, then value comes out of that.
Because you're saving time, you're becoming more efficient, and is that affecting your bottom line?
Yeah.
In a positive way?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what it's really all about. That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
That's the dream. But you've got to get started, you've got to make a commitment to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to roll up your sleeves and do the work.
Sure.
Yeah. But you're there all the while helping them.
All the while.
Yeah, I like that. But when did it all kind of start? When did this movement into digitization sort of begin, or start to educate us that we needed to do it?
I am certain there was a Time magazine article back in like the late 70s.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
Wow.
And
were the computers around then?
they were just starting.
Okay.
And that's when, you know, the talk and the thought was that, yeah, we're going to eliminate paper and everything's going to go, you know, back then it wasn't digital, but we were going to eliminate paper. So I would say late 70s, early 80s.
Okay, so you're talking 30 or 40 years ago, which is a long time, and we're still not making the progress
no, we're not.
that you think we should be making. So who's in the game? Who's in this game of helping companies go digital?
Well, we have a company in Canada called OpenText.
Okay.
Okay. They started, you know what, as a matter of fact, they started when we started our Ricoh dealership here in Ottawa. OpenText started, 1988.
Wow, okay.
Okay. So they're one of the largest players.
Okay. And I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're a Canadian company.
So what about Ricoh, Xerox, those copier-driven, paper-driven companies? Are they in the game?
They say they are.
Okay. But they're stuck in their old ways?
Yeah, I absolutely, I mean, back...
I mean, you were working for them. I mean, you sold your first company to them.
Yeah.
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 That was part of your frustration.
It absolutely, and yes, it was. I think they're making some headway, but let's face it, you know...
They're not focused on that.
No, they're
still
not.
Focused on their hardware business.
They still have manufacturing plants back in Japan that are, you know, they're there to turn out printers.
Yeah, and you saw this gap, right, when you were working with them. You saw this gap, that really an opportunity to fill a gap.
Absolutely.
That was needed.
This is not a process that's going to happen overnight, you know, and you'll absolutely agree that we didn't
get here overnight.
Exactly.
I mean, if the industry, if they started talking about it 30 to 40 years ago, that says a lot right there.
Yeah.
And we're still not as far along as we should be.
Correct.
So this is a long-term
It
process.
is.
It's
It
a
is.
long-term relationship.
Right, and you need, so with that in mind, as a customer, you need to find a partner that you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
that
relationships, absolutely, trust.
That can
and if
help
you're
you.
going to be in it for the long run,
Yeah.
you need to feel comfortable.
And guess what? We all go into work every single day and we come across a situation where we stop and think, I wonder if there's a better way to do this.
All the time.
And we all do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
for sure. In our quiet thoughts, yeah.
as a disruptor, I like to grab a hold of those challenges and let's you know
look
what?
at it.
Let's look at it.
Yeah.
And that's half the problem, is that we just skip
we're
over it.
Yeah,
we're
we're
too busy
sweeping it under the carpet because we're too busy mopping the floor.
to turn off the faucet.
Yeah. Okay. So you walk into an office and you disturb so they are motivated to change.
You know what I do? I point a few things out, and I make it.
That they're probably aware of.
They're absolutely aware
But they're
of.
they're not thinking about it.
No,
right?
they're not. No.
You're bringing their level of awareness
Sure.
up a few notches.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can't ignore it, right?
No, you can't. When it's staring at you right in the face, you know, and you know what? When you're scrambling at the end of the day and at the end of the month, day after day, month after month, because you run out of time, perhaps you might want to listen to a guy that says, I think we can give you back some time.
There's a better way.
There's a better way. I think the most important thing is that when you're working with someone that sees the end result and can help you get there, and the project is not a daunting project. Okay, break it down into smaller.
That's what you guys do.
That's
you guys do that
that's
really well.
that's the approach we take.
Yeah. It's easier to digest, easier to understand, less scary.
Well, sure,
Yeah.
and the other thing that it does, it injects success into your business, and you see it, and when you see it,
Get the results, you're motivated to continue. I work with an expert that knows he can see the end results. He's walking me through it. Once I start to see some of the changes happening, I'm motivated.
exactly.
It's the same thing.
You know
Same
what?
philosophy.
Great adage. Perfect.
That was great. Join us for our next session with Kevin McCartney on Going Digital. This is Susan Blaine with On Business.